What if a simple meal turned out to uncover a truth that had been buried by the sands of time? Imagine a single object, a seemingly ordinary trinket, unlocking a part of your soul you believed was lost forever. Elizabeth Harrington. The name was synonymous with power, wealth, and influence. To the outside world, she was an unstoppable force, a widow in her 60s who had single-handedly built an empire spanning continents. But those who truly knew her understood the ache behind her sharp gaze and impeccable facade. Despite her billions, there was one thing Elizabeth could never buy back: her beloved daughter, Lily. 20 years ago, Lily had disappeared from a sunny park in California. One moment, Elizabeth had been watching her little girl laugh and play, and the next, she was gone. Vanished. The days that followed turned into weeks, months, and eventually years filled with unanswered questions and sleepless nights. Elizabeth had spared no expense searching for Lily. Private investigators combed through every clue, search parties scoured the state, and countless leads were pursued. But all of it led to dead ends. Slowly, painfully, Elizabeth had learned to live with the unthinkable. Or, at least, she thought she had. Yet, no amount of time could dull the sharp sting of her loss. Every giggle she overheard, every glimpse of a child playing in the park, it all brought her back to that warm, sunny afternoon when her world shattered. For years, Elizabeth avoided California, the state that had stolen her joy. But something, call it intuition or fate, drew her back. This time, it felt different, as if the place itself held unfinished business with her heart. One crisp afternoon, Elizabeth decided to break from her routine of fine dining and elegance. She craved simplicity, something real. Driving aimlessly, she stumbled upon a charming little diner with a cheerful red sign that read "Sunny Side Eats." The place seemed to hum with life, filled with families, friends, and the comforting buzz of ordinary conversations. As Elizabeth stepped inside, a soft chime above the door announced her arrival. She chose a corner booth, one that offered her a quiet view of the room. She settled in, taking in the scene when a waitress approached, a young woman in her 20s, her smile warm but tinged with weariness. "Good afternoon, ma'am. What can I get started for you?" Elizabeth glanced up, meeting the waitress's soft brown eyes, and for a fleeting moment, something stirred deep within her. A sense of familiarity she couldn't quite place. "Just coffee for now." "Thank you," Elizabeth replied, her voice calm but her mind racing. The waitress nodded, her movements graceful and practiced as she maneuvered between tables, balancing trays and sharing kind words with customers. There was something about her, an air of resilience that Elizabeth recognized all too well. When the young woman returned with the coffee, Elizabeth's eyes caught the glint of a small gold locket around her neck. It was intricate, etched with delicate floral designs. "That's a beautiful locket," Elizabeth remarked softly. The waitress instinctively touched it. "Thank you. It's very special to me. May I ask where you got it?" Elizabeth leaned forward, her heart pounding in her chest. "It was a birthday gift from my mom when I was little," the waitress said, her voice tinged with melancholy. "I don't remember much about her. I grew up in foster care, but I've always had this." Foster care. The word sent Elizabeth's mind into a spiral. Could it really be possible? As the waitress moved away, Elizabeth fumbled through her purse, pulling out a worn photograph she had carried for decades. It was of her and Lily on Lily's 5th birthday. In the picture, Lily wore a tiny gold locket identical to the one the waitress now wore. When the young woman returned with Elizabeth's meal, she gathered her courage. "I know this might sound strange, but could you sit down for a moment?" The waitress hesitated, her brow furrowing. "Is everything okay?" "Please," Elizabeth insisted, sliding the photo across the table. "Do you recognize this?" The waitress picked up the photograph, her eyes narrowing as she studied it. Her fingers brushed the locket in the picture, identical to her own. Her gaze shot back to Elizabeth, her voice trembling. "This little girl, she looks just like me when I was a kid." Tears streamed down Elizabeth's face. "That's because it is you," she said, her voice breaking. "You're my daughter, my Lily." The waitress's hand flew to her mouth, her breathing quick and shallow. No, no, that can't be. My name is Anna. I don't have a family. Elizabeth's voice trembled, a mixture of hope and heartbreak spilling through every word. Anna? Lily was your nickname. I used to call you that all the time when you were little. Anna froze, her mind racing as conflicting emotions overwhelmed her. How? How can this be possible? She stammered. My foster mom, she told me my real parents abandoned me. Elizabeth shook her head vehemently, her eyes brimming with tears.
No.
I never abandoned you. You were taken from me. I've spent my entire life searching for you, Lily. Anna clutched the locket around her neck, her fingers trembling as tears welled in her eyes.
I
don't know what to say, she whispered. You don't have to say anything, Elizabeth said softly, sliding out of the booth. She opened her arms wide, her voice breaking as she added, Just let me hold you. My Lily. Anna hesitated for only a moment before something deep inside her broke free. She threw herself into Elizabeth's arms, tears streaming down her face. Mom, she whispered, her voice trembling, is it really you? Yes, my darling, Elizabeth replied, her tears falling freely as she held Anna tightly. It's me. And I promise you, I'm never letting you go again. As the two embraced, the diner seemed to fade into the background. The bustling noise of clinking plates and cheerful chatter melted into a profound silence that wrapped around them like a cocoon. What happens when two hearts, torn apart by years of pain and unanswered questions, try to reconnect? Anna couldn't stop staring at Elizabeth, the woman who had just revealed herself as her mother. The photo still trembled in her hands, the weight of its truth almost too much to bear. Her heart ached with a desperate need to believe it, yet doubt clung to her mind. Could this really be true? Anna finally asked, her voice barely audible. Could you really be my mom? Elizabeth's hand trembled as she reached across the table, her voice laced with emotion. Lily, Anna, I know this feels overwhelming, but I promise you, it's the truth. For 20 years, I've prayed for this moment. I've imagined your face, your voice, your smile. But nothing I ever dreamed could compare to this, to seeing you here, alive. Anna's emotions swirled in a chaotic storm. She looked down, her voice breaking. It's so hard to believe. My whole life, I wondered why I didn't have a family. I convinced myself I wasn't wanted. Elizabeth's heart shattered at Anna's words. Oh, my sweet girl, she said, her voice thick with regret. I never stopped looking for you. You were taken from me, ripped from my life in a way I couldn't understand. I hired the best investigators, followed every lead, but you seemed to vanish into thin air. And now, to find you here, her voice broke again, tears streaming down her face. Anna's memories began to resurface, hazy but vivid enough to stir something deep inside her. She remembered the faint warmth of a home, a garden where she played, and the gentle scent of roses in the air. But those memories were quickly overshadowed by years spent in foster homes, each one colder than the last. I grew up thinking I wasn't wanted, Anna admitted quietly. The foster system taught me early not to expect much from anyone. I started working as a waitress when I was 16, just trying to survive. Elizabeth listened with a breaking heart, each word cutting her like a knife. I can't imagine the pain you went through, she said, her voice trembling. If I had found you sooner, none of this would have happened. You would have had the life you deserved. Anna looked up, her eyes searching Elizabeth's face.
Why now?
After all these years, why today? Elizabeth's hand gently touched the locket around Anna's neck. Because of this, she said softly. This locket, it was the one thing tying us together, even when we were apart. It brought me here today. The room fell silent as Anna absorbed Elizabeth's words. Then, with her voice trembling, she asked the question that had been burning inside her. What about my dad? Where is he? Elizabeth's expression darkened, sorrow clouding her eyes. Your father passed away a few years after we lost you, she said quietly. The grief, it was too much for him. He blamed himself for not protecting you that day. Anna's breath hitched, tears streaming down her cheeks. I wish I could have met him, she whispered. Elizabeth nodded, her voice breaking. He would have loved you so much, Lily. You were his whole world. Just like you were mine. Tears blurred Anna's vision as she reached across the table, her hand trembling. She placed it gently over Elizabeth's. I don't know what to feel, she said, her voice cracking. But I think I want to try. I want to know what it's like to have a mom. Elizabeth's tearful smile lit up her face. And I want to know what it's like to be your mom again, she said softly. Let me make up for the years we lost. Let me give you everything I couldn't before. As they stood to leave, Elizabeth held Anna close. You're not staying here another day, she said firmly. I have a home for you. A real home. Anna hesitated, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't want charity, and I don't care about your money. I just want to feel like I belong somewhere. Elizabeth's smile softened as she cupped Anna's face. You belong with me, Lily. This isn't about money. It's about family. And for the first time in decades, both Elizabeth and Anna felt a glimmer of hope, a chance to heal together. Please, Elizabeth said, her voice gentle yet resolute, let me give you the life you deserve. Anna hesitated, her heart torn between apprehension and a longing she couldn't quite name. Finally, she nodded. All right, she whispered, but this is all so overwhelming. As they drove to Elizabeth's sprawling estate, Anna couldn't help but feel like she was stepping into a dream. The mansion was breathtaking, surrounded by lush gardens, sparkling fountains, and an unexpected warmth that softened its grandeur. Elizabeth smiled softly as they walked up the stone path. This is where I always imagined you playing, she said, her voice carrying a bittersweet note. Every flower, every corner of this place reminded me of you. I used to sit by the fountain and dream of the day you'd come back to me. Anna's eyes glistened as she took in the beauty of the scene. It's beautiful, she said softly, but it doesn't feel like mine yet. Elizabeth placed a comforting hand on her daughter's shoulder. It will, my darling, she said warmly. One day it will. A journey of healing and reconnection. Over the following weeks, Elizabeth and Anna began the delicate process of rebuilding their relationship. They shared stories, some joyful, others painful, and found themselves laughing and crying as they pieced together the fragments of their lives. One sunny afternoon, Elizabeth pulled out an old photo album and placed it between them on the coffee table. The album was filled with memories of Lily's childhood, the pages worn but lovingly preserved. This was your favorite dress, Elizabeth said, pointing to a photo of a young Lily twirling in a bright yellow sundress. You wore it every chance you got. I remember you begging me not to wash it, because you wanted to wear it again the next day. Anna smiled faintly, her fingers brushing over the image. I think I remember that, she said, her voice tinged with emotion. I remember you brushing my hair and singing to me before bed. Elizabeth's heart swelled. And I'll do it again if you'll let me, she said with a soft laugh. But their journey wasn't without challenges. Anna struggled to adjust to the sudden shift in her life, the wealth, the luxury, and the care that felt foreign to her. I'm not used to this, she admitted one evening as they sat in the grand yet cozy living room. I've spent so long taking care of myself, fighting for everything. It feels strange to let someone else do it for me. Elizabeth reached for her hand, her gaze steady and filled with love. You don't have to do it alone anymore, Lily, she said softly. You're not alone, and you never will be again. A question that needed an answer. One afternoon, as they sat by the fountain in the garden, the golden sunlight filtering through the trees, Anna turned to her mother with a hesitant expression. Mom, she began, her voice tentative, why didn't you give up on me? Most people, they would have moved on. But you didn't. Elizabeth smiled, though her eyes filled with tears. Because a mother's love doesn't give up, Lily, she said, her voice trembling with emotion. It doesn't fade, and it doesn't forget. I knew, deep in my soul, that you were out there somewhere. And now that I've found you, I will never let you go again. Anna leaned into her mother's embrace, her heart swelling with a warmth she hadn't felt in years. Thank you, she whispered, her voice breaking. Thank you for never giving up on me. Elizabeth kissed her daughter's forehead, her own tears falling freely. "You're my miracle, Lily," she said softly. "My second chance. And I will spend the rest of my life making sure you know just how much you are loved. A future built on love." As they sat together, the sun dipped lower in the sky, painting the world around them in hues of gold and pink. The years they had lost would never come back, but neither mother nor daughter dwelled on the past. Instead, they held tightly to the present and looked forward to the future, a future they would create together. For Elizabeth and Anna, the answer to whether love could truly heal the wounds of time was written in their embrace, their laughter, and the way their hearts had found their way back to one another. And in that moment, beneath the setting sun, both of them knew the bond they shared was unbreakable, and their love would carry them through whatever came next.